Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Middleware Technologies. Today we will be looking at how we can enable and expose Harbor instance metrics. So here in this video, we will try to see how we can enable the metrics to be exposed on the Harbor instance and capture them using Prometheus and Grafana. So here is my current trust environment wherein I will be setting up this implementation. So I have Fedora 41 server with Docker and Docker Compose installed, and we have Harbor service also installed with the following version. So before getting into the details of the implementation, let us try to understand what is observability. So observability is a key feature for operating a service in production because it helps us identify abnormalities status and make informed decision to fix issues when an error occurs. What exactly this means is, whenever we are building a software platform, it should be built in such a way that it should be able to expose its metrics so that any system administrator or operator who is using that software platform is able to capture the necessary details about that software, how it is behaving. So that is what observability is all about. And Harbor as a software platform is exposing these metrics using the Prometheus data model, which we can further export and capture it using the Prometheus and further analyze it using the Grafana using reporting. So here is the high level architecture diagram for the same. So we will be having Harbor registry which will expose the metrics on some path, and this will be further scraped by Prometheus using the Prometheus server. And once the Prometheus is able to scrape the data from the Harbor registry, it will have the metrics in its database, and these metrics we are further using in the Grafana using the Prometheus data source, which will connect to the Prometheus server, and here we will be able to capture the metrics and analyze it using the dashboards. So this is how we'll be trying to implement this in this video. So let us get into the implementation for the same. So as a first step, we need to ensure that the Harbor service is up and running. So you can follow my last video on how to set up Harbor registry using the Ansible playbook. So I'll be sharing the link of the blog for this in the video description. You can follow that one. And here let us try to start up the Harbor service. So let me go into my shell and go to Harbor. So this is the Docker Compose file that we are going to use to start up the Harbor service. So it accommodates all the service which are required for the Harbor registry. So let me start up the service. So we have Harbor service running. So let me go to my browser and try to access it. So we have Harbor which is up and running. So let me log in with the local database user. So we are able to access our Harbor service. Now let us go into our documentation and see the next step, that is configuring Harbor to enable metrics. So we need to first enable the Harbor to expose the metrics on a particular path. So for that we need to update the harbor.yaml file. So let me go to the harbor.yaml file, and you can search for metrics over here. So this is the configuration that we need to enable. So let me uncomment this part and change false to true to to enable exposing the metrics for Harbor instance. And this is going to be exposed on the following path. And let us try to change the port number also, because the 9090 port is used by the Copilot service on the Fedora. So for this we need to change it to 9091, and let us save this. Let me clear my screen and go to the documentation. So we have changed our service configuration for the metrics to the following. Now let us go to the next step, that is configuring the Harbor instance. So for this, what we need to do is we need to run prepare with Trivy option, so that it will reconfigure our server instance with whatever options we have enabled previously. Like, we just need to pass that one. So this is done. Like, we have reconfigured our Harbor instance. Now it is time to restart our Harbor service. So for that we need to use the Docker Compose down and Docker Compose up. So we will shut down this shut down the Harbor instance first. So the Harbor instance is down. Now let us bring up the same instance again to take the necessary Harbor configuration changes into effect. Now we have started up the Harbor services. Let us see the health of those. So they are currently starting up. Let me do Docker PS again, and now you can see the services are healthy. So we can access the Docker portal. Let us refresh it. So we are able to access the Harbor service with metrics enabled. Now let us go to the documentation and let us go to our next step, that is validate the Harbor metrics. So for this what we need to do is we need to check the exposed metrics on the following endpoint. So let me go to the FQDN, and we have exposed our metrics on port 9091 /metrics. This is the path. So you can see the metrics have been exposed and we are able to capture it using the path. Now let us go to our next step. So this is the step wherein we will try to scrape the metrics using Prometheus and further transfer it to Grafana service so that we can visualize it using dashboards. So for this demo, I am going to use a sample Prometheus and Grafana Docker Compose file, which is available at the following GitHub location. So let me clone that. Let me clear the screen, go to stack folder and clone this repository. So now that we have cloned this repository, we can go to that folder and go to Prometheus Grafana. So this is the folder wherein we have our Prometheus Grafana Docker Compose file, which will start up the Grafana and Prometheus services. But before starting up these services, we need to make some changes to the configuration files as per our requirement. So we will take a look at that in this documentation. So the first thing that we will do is we will update the Docker Compose file, that is compose.yaml file, in as per this content. So let me copy that one and open this Docker Compose file, and let me remove this one and insert my updated content. So here, you can see, I have updated the the port on which Prometheus is going to be exposed, which is 9092, because 9090 is already used by the Copilot, so we would be exposing it on the host level on 9090 port, but internally in the container it is still going to run on 9090 port, which is not going to affect the service. And we have stopped we have disabled this restart field unless stopped, because we do not want to restart the service every time it is stopped. And this is same, nothing changed in that. And the Grafana service is also the same. It is going to be exposed on the following 3000 port. We can disable this one also, not needed, but it is fine. And these are the user IDs and user ID and password that we are setting up for the initial Grafana user, which is the admin user. And then we are going to pass the following definition files which are related to the Grafana data source, wherein we will set up the Prometheus data source, and this is wherein we will be setting up the dashboards. So we are just going to pass some JSON configuration files in order to set up the Grafana dashboard for the Harbor service. So let us save this file. Let me clear my screen. And now let us go to the next update, that is updating the Prometheus configuration file, so that we include all the target metric endpoints which are exposed by the Harbor service. So for this, we are going to update the Prometheus.yaml file at the following location. So let me go to the shell and open that file, Prometheus.yaml file. So this is the default file that we get with the cloned repository, but we need to update the scrape configuration file and the API version to v2. So let me copy this updated file content. So here I'll just copy this one, and I'll try to explain you what exactly this is. So here, so these are the global parameters that are same, and this is the alerting configuration which is same, but we have changed the version of the API to v2. And this is the important section which we need to update, the scrape configuration file, wherein we are updating the target with the endpoint wherein the metrics are exposed. So, and these are the jobs that we are going to create in the Prometheus for each of the service which is going to expose the metrics. And you can see the service target is basically the same, 9091 port on which the metrics are exposed. So we have exposed it for Harbor Exporter, Harbor Core, Harbor Registry, and Harbor Job Service. So this is the scrape configuration file that you can get directly from the Harbor documentation. So let me show you that one as well. So if you go to the Harbor documentation, go to administration, access metrics, you can search for Prometheus, and here we have this sample configuration file that you can take it and update it as per your requirement. So that is what I did for this demo. Now that we have updated our Prometheus configuration file, the next thing that we need to do is update the Grafana data source configuration file. So for this, we are going to update the data source.yaml file that is available at the following location. So let us open this one, and here it comes with the default configuration which we need to update. So we will update it as per the following content. So here, like, I have updated the endpoint as the endpoint on which the Prometheus service is running, and let us save this file. So with this, like, our Grafana service is going to be able to connect to the Prometheus data source with the endpoint on which it is listening. Now let us go to the documentation again. Now the important thing is updating the Grafana dashboard. So for this, like, what we are going to do is we are going to create this dashboard.yaml file, and let us copy this content. So we are creating a dashboard provider with the following path on which, like, we are going to copy the dashboard configuration files. So let me save this dashboard.yaml file, and now like, what we need to do is we need to download a sample Grafana dashboard configuration file, that is a JSON formatted file for Harbor instance. So if you go to the Harbor documentation again and search for Grafana, like, you will see, like, here the example Grafana dashboard JSON file is available. It looks like the page has been moved, but let us try to search for this metrics example JSON file, or we can search for Grafana Harbor dashboard. And if you see down, like, we have this GitHub repository, that is Harbor contribute Grafana dashboard, wherein we have this sample JSON file which we can use for the Grafana dashboard. So now, like, what we need to do is, let me go to the documentation. So we will create this folder structure. So this is basically why we are creating this Grafana dashboard is, like, we have this Docker Compose file wherein we are copying it in the following location on the host, and which will be copied it into the following location on the container, and wherein the dashboards will be available. So let me create that folder. So let me go to the shell, clear my screen, and let us create this folder structure. Now, like, what we are going to do is we are going to copy that content into the following folder. So let me copy the content into the following file. So let me open this file in VI mode, and let me do it into the insert mode, and let us copy the raw content from here. So copy raw file, and here you can just paste it. And now let us save this one, and we have, okay, need to move this file to the location wherein we need to have that file. So that is going to be Grafana dashboards. So just ensure, like, we have this file available in the Grafana dashboard, not in the root folder. let me remove this one again. I did some mistake, so let me remove this one and try to create this folder first. Go to Grafana dashboards, and now let us create this file, main dashboard.json file, and here we will copy this content. So now we have copied the JSON configuration file data. Let us save this one and clear, and we have this file ready. Now let us go to the documentation again and let us see what is the next step, that is start the Prometheus and Grafana service using the Docker Compose command. So here we are going to use the Docker Compose up to start up the Prometheus and Grafana service. So let us go to the Prometheus Grafana folder over here and let us try to start up the service. And this is going to start up the Grafana and the Prometheus service. So now I can see the services have been started. So let me do Docker PS again. Let me clear my screen and do Docker PS, and you can see the Prometheus service and the Grafana service are up and running. So we can check the Prometheus service. So we can check the Prometheus service using the following URL. Prometheus endpoint is exposed on the following port 9092. So let me open this one and go to the status, targets, and these are the metrics of the Harbor service which are exposed as targets, and they are healthy. So now you can see we are able to check the metrics for the Harbor service in the Prometheus service. So now that we have our data in the Prometheus, we need to check it on the Grafana. So for that we need to access our Grafana service using the following URL, which is exposed on port 3000, and we can log in with the admin user. So the admin user which we are using is the one that we have set up in the Docker Compose file. So this is the admin user and this is the password. So let me copy that one password and log in. So now you can see we are able to access the Grafana service dashboard, and let us go to data sources. You can see the data source is configured, the Prometheus data source, which is listening on port 9092. Let us go to this data source and do a save and test. You should be able to see that the Grafana service is able to query the Prometheus API so that it will capture the Prometheus metrics. Now we are good with the connection. If you go to the dashboards, you will see that the Harbor dashboard is ready. So this is the dashboard that gets created because of the JSON file that we are using, and you will see the metrics are being captured. So let us see for last 15 minutes or 5 minutes, you can see. You will see the dashboard is capturing the metrics from the Harbor instance. So you'll see the project members, the library, and project repos, we have 0 in that. So this is how you will be able to expose the Harbor metrics on a particular endpoint and scrape it using the Prometheus service, which will capture the metrics from the Harbor instance. And once the Prometheus database is having the metrics from the Harbor instance, we can visualize those metrics using the Grafana dashboard by connecting to that Prometheus data source. So this is how you will be able to implement the this feature of the metrics which we are exposing on the harbor end. So this is all I wanted to show you in this video. So we have seen updating the Prometheus. So we have seen the health status of the Prometheus, we have seen the health status of the Grafana, wherein the dashboard is able to capture the services. So this is all I wanted to show you in this video. Thank you all for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you all. You guys have a great day.